Thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity for me to read this statement here tonight. I want to begin by making one thing absolutely clear. This is not about NIMBYism. The people of the Wirral are not anti-environment, quite the opposite. We understand the urgency of climate change, net zero, and we want meaningful action to protect our planet. But what we cannot accept is the idea that environmental progress must come at the cost of our own environment, our homes, our safe space, other people's homes and livelihoods. We are being asked to accept a 200-kilometre CO2 pipeline from the Peak District to Cheshire and through the centre of the Wirral, for the CO2 to be compressed at an industrial plant and then to be stored offshore below the seabed, I beg your pardon. And we are told that this is progress, that this is inevitable, and that this is vital. And we're expected not to ask questions, to accept the inevitability of it, to be okay with peak cluster representatives shutting us down at consultations, and to have the CEO, John Egan, shrug his shoulders when challenged and respond with, "I don't know, we aren't sure, we can't answer." We are also told that woodland will be disturbed, green belt land will be excavated, habitat will be disrupted, and infrastructure will be installed just 1.2 metres below ground on a publicly known route, an open invitation for vandalism or worse, terrorism. Because it might sound extreme, but this is the world that we are living in right now. At the coast, there is to be an above-ground installation, now projected to be closer to 8 football pitches in footprint, with vent stacks up to 50 metres high. That isn't minor infrastructure, that's industrialisation. Why should our land be sacrificed when alternative approaches exist? Why are we not prioritising technologies that capture the carbon dioxide at source and reuse that CO2 for energy, rather than transporting it long distances and storing it beneath the sea? Because let us be frank, that is not tackling climate change. That is not reducing emissions. That's just hiding them, pretending that they'll go away and leave it for the next generation or the one after that to deal with. Instead of the CO2 going into the atmosphere, it is going into ground beneath our seabed. And they may have been gas fields, but that does not make it risk-free. It simply relocates the risk. One only must look at the Lake Nyos disaster when 1,700 people were killed. A naturally held pocket of CO2, just like the gas fields, released 300,000 tonnes of CO2. And Peak Cluster are transporting 3 million tonnes of CO2 annually to start with. And please don't state this was a fluke, a one-off, because 2 years prior, the same thing happened at Lake Manon in a different area. There are many things that we can control. Nature is not one of them. The statement made by John Egan that the gas fields have held gas for millions of years and are therefore safe, well, Lake Nyos was safe until it was not. And in 2018, Spirit Energy themselves stated that gas storage was not an option at the Morecambe gas fields due to the local geology. Or is there another reason? Would the CO2 displace what little oil and gas is left, making this a stealth fracking exercise? Given the vagueness of Peak Cluster's application, this is a real possibility. What do they not want us to know? We ask what happens in the event of a failure on land. We know CO2 is an asphyxiant. We know that pipeline failures have occurred across the world. We know it happened in Louisiana in 2024. We know it happened in Sartasha in Mississippi on the 22nd of February 2020. Emergency services vehicles stalled because the CO2 displaced the oxygen. we know that 200 people were evacuated and 45 people were hospitalised. And this was in a village far less densely populated than the Wirral. And if the pipeline runs near critical infrastructure such as hospitals, what's the emergency plan? Where are the patients taken? And how quickly can an already stretched to breaking point emergency services respond? Who's trained for that? Who pays for it? And who manages it when those who should be called upon in an emergency are perilously close to the pipeline itself? The pipeline runs past at least 4 primary schools, and CO2 is a dense gas. In the event of a leak, we know that pets and children are affected first. You only have to look at Gorebridge in Scotland. One of the reasons being is that they are closer to the ground. What happens when our babies and our children and our future end up in a situation where their safety is compromised for the sake of so-called progress? Should we not be protecting them? Should we not be learning from Satasha in Louisiana? Should we not be looking at other alternatives instead of placing money and greed above the future of our country and our society? We are told to trust that this technology will perform as promised. Yet independent studies by the Institute of Energy, Economic and Financial Analysis found that flagship CCS projects globally have underperformed. They stated CCS often overpromises and underdelivers. 7 out of 13 flagship CCS pipeline projects did not perform as expected. 1 failed outright. This is not speculation. These are cold, hard facts, unlike the information we are receiving from Peak Cluster. So what makes this pipeline different? Show us the data, show us the projections, show us the evidence. And who is monitoring this pipeline? Who is inspecting it? Who maintains it? Who protects it? Who prevents vandalism and nefarious activities along its length? And in 20 years' time, when Peak Cluster steps back, who carries the liability then? Is it the state? Is it the taxpayer? Is it us, the people of Wirral, who have already been expected to shoulder the burden by the desecration of land and compromise of our safety? I fully intend to be here in 20 years, as does my daughter and perhaps even her children. Are we transferring long-term risk to future generations for short-term political targets? Are we the guinea pigs? There's the economic impact. Estate agents in February 2026 have reported uncertainty surrounding property transactions along the route of the pipeline. The Wirral has always been proud of its strong local economy. We buy local, we support local, we live local. But if confidence drops and people choose not to move here and people start to move out, that affects our shops, services, our sports club, our community life and our identity. So who indeed profits from this? Because it's not the people of the Wirral. And let us not pretend that reinstatement equals restoration. You cannot excavate woodland and return it to its original ecological maturity with a landscaping plan. Once disturbed, some things simply cannot be replaced. These are not sensationalist questions, these are responsible ones. So no, this is not NIMBYism. This is about safety, this is about environmental integrity, it is emergency preparedness, and it is about long-term financial accountability. We are not saying do nothing. We are asking to prioritise solutions that do not ask one community to carry disproportionate risk when we know other technologies exist. We deserve transparency. We deserve in knowing that trying to save the planet, we are not being asked to sacrifice our homeland, our safe space in the process. So I call upon all councillors here present, regardless of party ties, ask yourselves these questions and answer honestly. Stand with the residents of the Wirral and help us stop the CCS pipeline now. Thank you.